Welcome, these will be my thoughts on Arrow Season 3, Episode 9, The Climb. The episode is rated TV-14, so this video there will be spoilers for the episode as well as the Arrowverse leading up to it. Not for anything Arrowverse or else that came out after this episode first premiered. Another episode I love. I'm gonna start with the deleted scenes. So basically, one of them is a scene at the Adverdant where Thea, bouncers a guy who, he bumps into one of the, a woman customer there, and the drink goes all over her. So she says, let's see. I guess it's the boyfriend who demands the guy apologize, and he says, "I'm sorry, your boyfriend is so weak," which, didn't Flash fight this guy after he could turn his body into metal? Anyway, and Thea, slams his head into the counter and says, "Leave my bar," and he does. And we can see that it does have an emotional effect on her. That was perhaps not the kind of thing that she most wanted to do, but it's that's the kind of thing Malcolm has got her. That's how she reacts now because of him. And Roy sees it, and ultimately I think part of the reason the scene, I think it's in part for time. They cut for time, and it's also just we don't really need it because Roy finds out after Oliver finds out that she can now, she's now more physically violent than before. And another scene which really twisted the knife because it is the Lance family having this Christmas dinner, and Dinah really wants to tell Lance, and Laurel tells her, she can't. And then he, gives a toast to Sarah, and ultimately Dinah does not tell him. But and he also notes, I feel like I've been talking to myself all night. It was giving that episode of The Simpsons where Homer's like, you'd say we should talk all the time. I'm talking right now, in fact, but you haven't talked for a while, so I'm going to stop now, and I really hope you say something. Really, really great scene. There's bound to be at least a little bit of awkwardness because this is after Dinah said, "Avenge my daughter and your sister. Kill them, make them hurt." Which I guess does segue nicely into that. This is a good episode to talk about on Women's History Month because there's some really great stuff for the female characters in this episode. Other episodes as well, but some great Mama Bear stuff with both Dinah, as aforementioned scene, as well as the I can hardly believe that she's actually I feel so bad for both Akio and Masao, but Tatsu taken by, I'm afraid I don't really know how to, I'm gonna have to pronounce her name the way that they keep telling Oliver is wrong. China White. And the very cool seeing Thea be so badass. We already knew she could fight, but the fact that she actually, it wasn't a long fight. Like, it's possible Oliver would have been able to do more but it's not very common for someone to be able to escape Green Arrow. And I guess this is a decent time to recommend. So, a YouTube video that if you haven't already watched, I definitely recommend is the... Oh, wait, 1 second. I think I already recommended that one. I really want to make sure to be recommending different ones, so I'll just real quick. Let's see. The Essence of Thought video, transphobes murder 22 children. Now they're after more. And I guess I probably don't have to say the words, but just in case. Yeah, that one's not rated TV-14. And yeah, as usual, Essence of Thought, yeah, she does incredibly important work. Not super pleasant videos to make. I do appreciate that every so often she does do one with like positive news and such. So, but yeah, incredibly important work, and I do think that is more important than being like cheerful in the light of really horrible things. So, I think I will start by noting I have an idea. I don't know. I haven't looked at any spoilers, but I think I might know what's going to happen in the next Arrow episode, but I won't, just in case someone doesn't want it. But I'll just say there is a basis in the comics for something that might happen to explain them. But I was not expecting Oliver to actually lose the fight. So yeah. Although I guess, I mean, ultimately, if of course he had to, like, there's no way, like, there are very few people who can defeat Ra's al Ghul. Now, I think the rest of the video is going to be more or less, chronological. I did not expect the climb, the title, the climb, to be quite so literal, and I really thought it worked well that we don't know exactly why he's climbing. I kept thinking that it was a flashback, and then we're told, oh, you have to climb to this place, within this amount of time. And yeah. But let's see, I guess, so I think with the, it's the, we see them, actually, did it start with no, yeah, I'm pretty sure the first thing we saw was, so there's the, Quentin is given a gift of someone, a criminal or something, and then, the League. I did appreciate that, of course, at first he assumes that it's Malcolm, but it's the League, and they take him and explain their terms and conditions, and you gotta make sure you read the entire thing, otherwise you could end up being sewn onto another person. Is that a vague enough? I think you probably know what I'm referencing without spoiling that particular thing. Anyway, the let's see. What was the other thing that but yeah, that's a really, really cool way to bring because like they said, he courts war with the League, and I will admit, at first I did think that they were just going to immediately attack, but instead it's this thing of like, well, we're going to give you just 48 more hours to find, and that it is very clever, because like they've explained over the course of these episodes, but that's not good enough for the League, of course. But we understand why they haven't been able to find the killers, or the killer, killers, I guess, because Malcolm arranged it. Thea did the deed, and I think that does, and yeah, they point out, well, because that it is true that happened, just very, very recently. Well, let's see, I guess it was the Flash part of the, because there were two crossover episodes back to back. I think it might have been the one with on the Flash where she got the, yeah, and so it's taken these, let's see, I guess is it 2 weeks, because the episodes don't air on, I think it's around that amount of time. And let's see, I think that might be when we get the so Thea sees Laurel, she was putting flowers on her mother's grave, and then she doesn't know, because nobody told her, that Sarah is dead. Which, I mean, if we're being honest, by this point, I think Sarah might be used to that by now. Anyway, I kid. Listen, this is how I process things that really mess with my emotions. That's just anyway, the yeah, that was it was a really powerful scene for both characters is what I'm getting at. Laurel having to say it again, and and it's twice in this episode that she has to confirm to someone that Sarah is dead, and Thea is also very upset, I guess. So much for Malcolm not letting anything hurt her ever again. And I did also appreciate, because I do think that he does care about her, maybe even love Thea, but he's also still, very selfish. I mean, I think he probably thinks that it's better for Thea if he is alive and in her life, and as such, he needs to make sure that the League doesn't kill him, but still using her, because like at the end of the day, hypothetically, you know, it could have been someone else. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying, yeah, I think that that is it for that scene, and yeah, I did appreciate that there was just a little bit of the episode where I did actually think that it was well, I guess technically it was a frame job, but I thought that, yeah, the DNA had been planted, but yeah, genuinely clever that it was, yeah. I suppose I'm not 100% sure why Malcolm waited so long. Like, was he thinking that the DNA would have been retrieved sooner, maybe? I guess that's... And he just didn't, like, follow up. I guess it would be really weird if he, like, kept going to Oliver being like, so, did you discover who killed Sarah? I mean, if somebody did, in fact, kill Sarah, who killed Sarah? But, yeah, anyway, I think yeah, I did really appreciate, both John and Felicity realizing it might actually be Thea, and Oliver once again, and John points it out. He just does not see things for what they are when it comes to his family. It's the same with his parents. And I guess that pretty much gets us... I think that's when... So yeah, like Laurel, the reason she's in Quentin's office is because, what did she say? Half the force are allergic, or half of the ones under his command are allergic to search warrants, which is... it is a little rich for her to be saying that, considering that she's like on the highway to the danger zone. I mean, vigilantism. And I get, but yeah, genuinely really sweet that the family's together, but bittersweet because Sarah's not there, and this thing of like, she's traveling, and you can tell Dinah, and I have heard mothers say that they just know, and her confronting her later was, yeah, and I think that was the part where they talk about the playing dress up, and Sarah was going to be a doctor, and she had 2 weeks left until retirement. Just like the episode really makes us feel the loss, and I do really appreciate that. They definitely needed. I'm not necessarily saying it was like they waited too long, but I think that it was the right amount of time. We've sat with the grief of the other characters now, and now to see Dinah also, yeah. And I guess that is the yeah, and they find the video that shows, and that was really cool because, like, I believe I did theorize in an earlier video that maybe Malcolm did this, and I forget if I did. I think I did say, could Thea have done it, but why though? And now, yeah, the that thing, the plant, and yeah, but they confirm, yeah, he was in Starling City, but so was Thea. And I like the thing about like, did you fly this man? No. Try again after looking at it. It's like this thing of like, has Felicity been sharing frustrating IT department stories? Because that's like giving, no, it's not working. Did you actually try, or do you just think it wouldn't work? Because that's, yeah. And yeah, the thing about, he'll kill me. He's not here right now. And yeah, the thing about, Thea does lie to him. He confronts her about the, Malcolm being back, or her having a relationship with Malcolm, and then she claims, or wait, oh, I guess it's not impossible that she didn't even know she was in Starling City that night. How much does this suggest? Because no memory of it. Anyway, I think that might actually be it. So, but she has been lying up until this point. And yeah, her trying to just decorate the tree, and the thing about like, I wanted the tree to be a surprise. Well, I am surprised about something about you, that's for sure. And that was also, I did like the Christmas stuff. And I kind of like how, so both this and the most recent, the Flash that aired shortly before this episode, I did maybe earlier the same week, a week apart, whatever. The both of them had Christmas stuff, but that one was a bit more like this kind of sweet, heartfelt Christmas thing. And then this one, it is like Christmas is in part about family, but here it's like some of the darker stuff about family. You have a lot of complications with these couple of families involved here that, yeah, maybe this was the one that was like a Shane Black inspired script. But yeah, and they talk about like, well, she's lying to Oliver. Well, maybe it shouldn't be Oliver who talks to her, and yeah, he comes in, and yeah, just so clever. She uses the glass, the shattered glass. I should watch that movie again. That was really good. By far my favorite performance of Hayden Christensen, and I don't really hate that guy. Like some people do. Anyway, the yeah, and she kicks and then she leaps off the thing. Yeah, like genuinely clever. And then Malcolm's like, "Do you want to tell me why Thea just called and said Arrow attacked her?" Because it's like, really? My sister went and told Dad that I hit her? And yeah, I really like the thing about, yeah, so he, grabs him by the throat, and I like that Malcolm let him, because like we know he could put up a fight, but he doesn't need to. It would be wasted effort. Like he has better things to do with his energy. So, hand in his pocket dialing Simon Cowell. No, I mean sending that video, and yeah, why don't you see what that was on your phone? I can wait. I'll just be here, your hand wrapped around my throat. And yeah, he even filmed it. That's how, like, this was not just like a spur of the moment kind of thing. And yeah, all it really needs is like someone to look directly into the camera there at the end and, tell people to smash that subscribe button. But yeah, and he lays it out, and Oliver points out this would mean that you were not, because Raish says in this episode, we'll deal with him soon enough, but first, Sarah's a killer. Also, really, it was really cool when he's just like murdering a bunch of people who, like, I mean, were they This is supposed to be like a training thing, I guess, or is this just how he works out the? Because these were warriors, and they seem to respect him. I don't know. I honestly, most of what I know about Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins is from this show and the Dark Knight trilogy, so I can imagine it's explained in the comics. And certainly, I mean, they are a cult, so I could imagine that this is just, yeah, every so often he kills, because maybe these are like weaker wars, or maybe this is like a graduation kind of thing, and they have to like draw blood from him in order to show that they're worthy of joining the League, and those who cannot, he'll kill. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, I feel like that might be when Felicity gets yeah. So Ray, talks and explains about Anna, and yeah, she thinks that the reason he felt guilty. I like that. So it is incredibly smooth of him. Like, we're talking like oil when he says there is not a man on the planet who would regret kissing you. And then she's like, I can think of one. But yeah, she thinks he was cheating, and he's, but no, he doesn't have a partner, not an alive one anyhow. I need to watch that movie again. Anyway, yes, so yeah, and you know what, I'll just go ahead and talk about, so I liked in the flashbacks, I was starting to think, getting a little bit close to like an uncritical, just kind of replication of torture without like criticizing it, because so far the show has done a good job, every so often at least, criticizing it and saying, it's wrong in, for various reasons, ethically speaking, which I agree with. But then we also have the right, yeah. So I was thinking like, this is looking a little, but then there's the thing about like they didn't actually get the information from this guy, and actually them capturing and torturing him made things worse. Now Tatsu was yeah. If they had just, I mean, yeah, hypothetically, if they just hadn't tortured him, if they had, or at the bare minimum, if they had stopped before, because they're like, he should have said something by now, and that's also when China White realizes that he should have been back by then, and that's also, chronologically, that's the first time Oliver heard about the plant, or was it a flower, something like that. And flora or fauna. I also really appreciated, yeah, Maseo, now Sarab, as the, yeah. And he's ready to, like, he's about to draw his blade on Oliver for not kneeling. So yeah, he is, and yeah, he joined after, and I like that it's just said after what happened, because like technically we don't know for sure if Tatsu is dead. It could be something, I don't know. It's possible that we'll see her die in front of him soon, one of the next episodes or something. But yeah, and yeah, that's how he knows Oliver well enough to know that it was not Oliver who killed Sarah. And I guess that is the there's definitely right. So yeah, the part where yeah, so Felicity talks to Ray, and yeah, she's deduced that there's something, he's keeping a secret because he's in pain. And then the I like that she, again, it's almost like a repeat of the thing where she's in the earlier episode, she was like, oh my god, I have a type. But yeah, oh right, I also like the part where she was on the phone with Kate, and she says, happy holidays to you too. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I get the sense that Kate is Christian, or at least not Jewish, And I know that some different people have different opinions on the matter, but some say that even if you know someone is Jewish, you should not be saying Happy Hanukkah to them. You should say Happy Holidays. I'm sure Fox News exploded. Their heads exploded, like scanner style. Not advocating violence, obviously, but remember the war on Christmas, and then suddenly Trump was like, now they're saying Merry Christmas again, and someone pointed out, it's the summer. If someone's saying Merry Christmas right now, they need a calendar. Anyway, I just forgot to breathe. But let's see. Yeah, she points out, if you don't tell me, I walk. And he says, I can't tell you. And so, true to her word, she starts walking. And then he says, I have to show you, which, like, dramatic. But yeah, fair enough. Like, how do you convey that without showing? And yeah, OMAC becomes Adam. I think that's from the comics as well. Certainly Atom is. And yeah, that is going to be really, really cool. I can hardly wait. And but yeah, she notes that she keeps kissing vigilantes. And I think that does bring us to, yeah, I thought it was compelling when they talk about like how Oliver might not be able to win this fight, and tries to bring his affairs in order and tries to warn Thea, I did it to protect you. You'll understand. And tries to steer her away from Malcolm. And I guess I'll just briefly note, as usual, the show does a really solid job when a woman has an action scene. I have seen stuff where... So to be clear, obviously I am not saying that women can't fight. I'm saying that sometimes when they have an actress, and it's not only women, sometimes it's men as well, but there are scenes in media where they don't make sure that this person, who clearly from their movements are not used to fighting, that they get enough training that it looks, because it kind of needs to look second nature, at least at the level of fighting that Thea is now capable of. And it does. I have not seen even one scene in the Arrowverse so far where they didn't make sure that actor or sometimes stunt performer had the sufficient training. I guess that pretty much does get us to the... I don't know if I want to give away exactly who, but there was at least one performer on Alias where I was like, that person is not used to fighting. Possibly other similar physical... Okay, at this point, I guess I might as well say, at least early on, Jennifer Garner, you could tell, yeah, she has a background in with like dancing. She does not... This is the first time she's like fighting in this sort of way, at least. And I feel bad because I do really like her. I've never really been unhappy to see her pop up in something. She made Peppermint more bearable. The movie, not the spice. Anyway, I feel like that does pretty much bring us to... Yeah, it was really, really cool when Tatsu and China White went, fought each other with swords. And the thing about, Akio, run to your room. No, stay there. Don't you, never talk to me or my son again. That was a really, really cool moment. And yeah, like, she did hold her own, at least some, but of course, like, there's no shame in losing to China White. It's not exactly like, yeah. And I feel like that pretty much gets us to the... Yeah, also at the start of this episode, Oliver's still very uncomfortable with, there's the thing about, Maseo is calling it interrogation and Oliver's calling it torture, and he just can't eat. And Maseo says, first time I couldn't eat for 2 days, or I lost my appetite for 2 days, but you need your strength, So they are really critiquing, torture at a time when there were still, there was other media around this time that was in favor of it, that was uncritical of it. I feel like that does pretty much... There's at least one more thing I really wanted to say. So at the start of the episode, a bunch of masked individuals like grab, they go up to this white male American citizen and like attack him, and it's like, well, they seem to want a fair fight, so I guess it's not ICE. And I guess I'll just briefly note Iran is already the war that America is waging with Iran, which they keep, the Trump administration keep going back and forth on whether or not they're going to call it a war. But yeah, it's already a disaster. Like this is something that Bush Jr. wanted to do and ended up not happening back then. And you got another Republican president. Are you happy now? Do you get why we tell you not to vote Republican now? Like, is it starting to become clear why we tell you to please stop and think before you cast your vote towards a warmonger? Like, how many decades of wars do you need in order to see that this is what they do? Like, it's not even helping you economically, and it is pretty pathetic that there are a bunch of Americans who only now they're like, I didn't realize, why is gas more expensive? Really? Like, really? Like, you're once again, like, we told you this would happen. We said this is what's gonna this is what Trump is gonna do if he gets a second term. Please don't vote for him. And you did, and now, like, I'm not glad that you're suffering. All I'm asking, I hate that. I wish that was not the case. But all I'm asking is, please remember this. Please remember who it is that keeps starting these wars. Now, Obama overcorrected so far that he ended up, what was it called again? Benghazi. That was him terrified of starting another war. He went so far in the other direction, and Republican presidents still aren't learning not to start wars. Like, did you notice how another war was not started for a while there, while Democrats were in charge, and then a Republican came in? And I mean, he didn't accomplish it the first term, but, you made sure he got another chance. Anyway, I think that I feel like there's at least one more thing I really wanted to make sure to say. The final battle was absolutely amazing, and I really loved the little monologue about, first time he was 11, and he's killed thousands. Holy crap! And I believe him. It doesn't sound like ridiculous bragging or something. And also the thing about, no one has challenged me in 67 years, which is also great because, like, you don't look like you're over 67. It's like his aging has been dramatically slowed down. Let's see. I don't think they've come right out and said, so I guess I'll hold back on the explanation, but I have heard of the explanation for the, yeah. I think, does that pretty much bring us to the, let's see. So at least one more, yeah. He starts without any weapons, and then takes one of the swords from Oliver, and it's, one sword on one instead of two swords on none, and just incredibly cool. Just, yeah. And I like Sarab saying, he's not known for his mercy, but this is your last chance. And I think that might bring us to the feel like there's at least one more thing I really want. Yes, once again, really appreciate the show having, physical affection between men who care about each other without it, like clearly it's not that they are like romantic with each other, but it is just like, yeah, they care about each other and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's not inherently romantic. It's a hug. I have hugged male friends of mine and other men who are not, you know, I guess that goes without saying because I'm straight, so none of them are romantically. But yeah, I know it's silly, but for some reason I still feel the need to say I'm not saying there's anything wrong with not being straight either. I try to be an ally. Just in case, I want to make sure to I'm worried I'm going to forget recommending it. So there was a video. I'm going to get the right title and everything. It is by the Q-Word Collective, and no, they don't write Q-Word, they write the actual word. I know some would say that it is okay for me as an ally to use. I appreciate the value of a reclaimed slur. Currently, I am uncomfortable with it. I can't rule out at some point in the future that I might use it, but the video is called Women Are Opting Out of Men. Here's Why. Really, really excellent, very informational. And if you needed further reasons, Alessandria guests. So yeah, that should be sufficient incentive. She is awesome. Now, let's see, I really appreciate that, like, there near the end, I thought Oliver might actually win. And yeah, holy crap, the part where he grabs sword, unreal. Just but yeah, this is, yeah, this is such a cool depiction of Raish. Yeah, I think there were really cool things as well with the version on, I guess I'll just say, in the Dark Knight trilogy. For anyone who hasn't watched, I'm not giving away exactly where he appears, but I do like this version better. And I guess that is pretty much... No, yeah, there's at least one more thing I wanted to make sure to say. It's going to be very difficult. I mean, at least I watch an episode of Arrowverse per day right now, so it'll only be 2 days before I do the next Arrow, but yeah, I'm gonna try hard to focus during the Flash episode because I mean, there's been other episodes where I did fine. Where I was super excited to see the next development on the, yeah. But I feel like that is... I like that Moira, there was a picture of Moira on the Christmas tree, as well as, clearly these were made by Oliver and Thea. There were these, they both made one that they put their name on. They made those as kids, and, this was kept, which I swear I'm not going to make a huge deal out of this, but I just want to briefly say I do not understand people who throw out the Christmas decorations and then buy new ones next year. Like, I appreciate that not everybody has the time or energy to make your own, but I've always found that one of the best parts of preparing for Christmas is decorating the tree with stuff that you remember putting on the tree years ago. And I gotta say, if you do have the time and energy and you celebrate Christmas, there's nothing wrong with not celebrating Christmas, regardless of what your reason for not celebrating is. Don't let anybody tell you different. But yeah, if you made it yourself and you're like, oh wow, I made this 15 years ago with my own two hands and scissors. It's difficult without those. Yeah, there's something magical about that. I do really, yeah. I think that does cover the, right. I also really liked, we saw Felicity was, she saw an article. Oh, was it? I think that it went a little bit too fast for me to pick up, but I just read the headline of it. But maybe that was actually, we already know that she's been reading Iris's blog. That might have been another blog post by Iris, since she is someone who covers this stuff. And yeah, so she asks Kate, Felicity asks Kate, "Are you okay?" Because reasonable, and yeah, I mean, ultimately she is. It was a little scary, intense, but she's not like, you know, I mean, Dr. Wells took a beating from his own thing, but she might be a little rattled from sewing him back up and you know firestorm appearing and all of that. But yeah, I really appreciated the part where Raish meets. I was the thing about did you really think that Raish would travel to Starling just because you asked him to? Yes, I would. Right this way then. That's a pretty good just yeah. And when he sees Oliver face to face for the first time, he practically pulls it's almost like Oliver the first time he meets Barry, like, do your parents know you're here? But just he says, you're just a boy standing in front of a man asking him to duel.